Following a short-lived return as Superman in Black Adam, Henry Cavill finds himself without a superhero franchise. Warner Brothers never treated the Man of Steel and Justice League star particularly well, and a leap to the Marvel Studios seems logical at the next point for the British actor, according to a rumour shared by scooper My Time to Shine H, who, take it with a grain of salt, because this person has been wrong in the past, but back to the article. Cavill has been offered and accepted a mystery role in a future Marvel Studios project. This came after a fan shared belief he'd make the perfect Doctor Doom in Fantastic Four reboot. That supposedly isn't happening. So sure speculations will now run wild as to who Cavill will play. Yes, speculations have started to run wild. This is what we are here for. We are here to speculate. Now, ladies and gentlemen, just because the article stated that he is not playing Doctor Doom, just because they might have heard that he's not playing Doctor Doom, doesn't mean he's not playing Doctor Doom. We've been giving the dupe and switch and all of that stuff for years. We've been getting them for years and years and years. Do you remember when the shortlist for the three women in the Man of Steel sequel came out, and there was rumors that, oh, this is going to be the love interest to Batman or whatever it may be, and people were like, oh, these three could be the Wonder Woman, these three could be the three actresses for Wonder Woman. They were like, no, this is not the case. These are just love interests. And to be fair, when you looked at the names, when it was Gal Gadot and I forgot who else was on the list, it just came off like, oh, okay, this is just definitely love interest, because who's going to cast Wonder Woman as the girl who had a serviceable role in Fast X? Well, it turns out she was Wonder Woman. Okay, so but back to Henry Cavill. So let's start with Doctor Doom, shall we? So Doctor Doom, I don't think it would be the best choice for him. I don't think it's the best choice for him, and I'll tell you why. Here's why. I think he should be a good guy in the MCU. I really do. And yes, people might say, oh, he's already sort of been that good guy for Warner Brothers. He was their man. He was the mantle. He was Superman. He was Kal-El. So people might be like, oh, we're a bit bored of him seeing him do that so often. He's such a good actor, so let's give him sort of room to play and all of that stuff. Which is, I completely understand that, and I completely agree. He's such a great actor, and he probably would do a serviceable job as Doctor Doom. Probably even good. I would go as far as potentially saying even good, because I have yet to see sort of Henry Cavill in a bad performance, give a bad performance. I've seen him in bad movies, but I've yet to see him sort of give a bad performance. But the reason why I think he should play a good guy in the MCU is because bad guys don't really last long in the MCU. Bad guys don't really last long. Even if you're Thanos, you're in the MCU for 3, 4 like max pictures. Like, I don't think we've had a villain spanning that long. And I want Henry Cavill to be in the MCU to stay. If you really want to sort of rub the salt into Warner Brothers and DC, you want Henry Cavill to be leading the next phase of the MCU. And I just think giving him a villain role can be a bit sort of one and done and over and done with. And here's the thing, I know they probably have big plans for Doom when it comes to sort of Secret Wars, and probably with the Fantastic Four, probably even the Black Panther sequels. So there is room for Doom to be a recurring character, but I still don't think they would give him. I still don't think whoever's playing Doom will be playing Doom in 10 years to come. Here's that. So, but I do think there are other characters that Henry Cavill could probably play for at least 10 to 12 years in the MCU. And don't we all want that? More Henry Cavill. So I just think for Doom, let's just get a world-class talent. One of these world-class talents that are talking about, that are potentially might be on doing a Marvel movie or doing a superhero movie or a Star Wars movie, but is just afraid of the long-term commitment of it all. That's what we need, I think, for Doom. So I think Denzel, who's sort of already been talking about potentially joining either the Marvel or DC universe or the Star Wars universe, I think would be incredible for Doom. He might not be at the right sort of age range, because obviously people want him to sort of be at the same sort of like time in your life as Pedro's Doom, and Pedro's in his like mid-40s. So I understand that. But I still think bringing in that world class. Oh, you know who would be great as Doom? Javier Bardem. I know. The rumors are he's going to be Galactus, and at least he's going to be in the MCU. And I mean, Galactus is dope, but I just think he'd be such a great Doctor Doom. Yeah, so Javier Bardem. But back to Henry Cavill though. So okay, he's not. Let's say he doesn't play Doom. For argument's sake, let's say the article was right and I was right that he's not playing Doom. So who could he play? What are the other options? Okay. So for me, the perfect character for Mr. Cavill to play is the one and only Scott Summers, aka Cyclops, motherfudger. Yes, Cyclops. Cyclops is the son of an Air Force pilot and an older brother to Havoc. You know Havoc. We've seen him in movies like First Class. Yeah, so we've already gotten a Cyclops, of course, James Marsden in the Fox universe, and James Marsden had the potential to be an incredible Scott Summers, like had the potential to be the like sort of RDJ to Iron Man, sort of Heath to Joker. He could have had that with Scott because he's so well cast. I think I really do believe that, but he was just relegated to being an obstacle for Logan getting into Jean Grey's knickers, basically. That's basically what he was sort of relegated to. And Cyclops is just so much more than that. Like, he's just so much more than that. Like, from the animated series back in the 90s, which is often come back in 97, the X-Men 97, to the comic books, Cyclops is the leader of the X-Men. He is who Charles Xavier chose to lead the X-Men. He's the ultimate strategy man. He's a stoic leader, and to the core of him, he is a freedom fighter. This guy is nothing but follow the cause and fight for the cause, which is like what you need in a leader, what you need in an X-Men. And oh my God, Henry Cavill would knock that out of the park. He would absolutely knock it out of the park. And by playing Cyclops, he gets the opportunity to not only be a leader, quote unquote, of a franchise, but also be with us for a while. He can play Cyclops for a while. He really can. And then and the huge plus of him playing Cyclops. Another huge plus of him playing Cyclops. As much as I love the guy, and don't listen, I love Henry Cavill. I think he's a great actor. He's brilliant in literally everything he's in. But, and I know I've already said that before, but I only say that to preface this next statement. But Henry Cavill is, at the end of the day, not been a box office draw. Like, he hasn't been a box office draw. Things he's doing is just not drawing audiences. That's the problem. And with the backing of an X-Men, with the backing of IPs like Wolverine and Dark Phoenix and Magneto and all of those people surrounding him, that's when he can thrive. That's when he doesn't need to be the main guy to bring people to go and see him. That's not when he needs to be more famous than the IP. Because a lot of the times, right now, we live in a world where we don't have really movie stars. We don't have, like, the action heroes. We have famous IPs, and then there are sort of actors that carry it on and try and play that for that sort of particular time, and it moves on, and it goes on to the next guy. It's the IP, it's the character that's famous. So at this point, like, you can't really give someone that is proven. It's no matter how much you like him, but he's proven not to be a box office draw at this point. Who's proven not to be a box office draw at this point. Giving him an ensemble cast might just be the way forward. It might just be the way forward because, like I said, the ability to give him do the whole Guardians of the Galaxy thing for this, where you can be like, we're on a roll, we can probably shoot for the stars and probably land on the moon. Marvel aren't in a position to do that right now. So that's why some of the other names that are for characters for him to be playing, being thrown about, just really isn't really working. Really wouldn't work. Just because we're in a phase where you need to be pushed by that character's name and character IP, and especially with the position Marvel are in right now. Like, come on, like, he'd be so perfect. He'd be so perfect for Cyclops. Just let me read this little excerpt from Cyclops. I was blind to how the world worked. And then I met a man who taught me how to see things, how things really are. And because of that, I loved him. Because I believed in him, and in a way, I worshipped him. I claimed the things that he had faith in as my own. So that's Cyclops talking about Charles. And that is also another aspect that could be so fun to explore, that relationship between Charles and Cyclops, the sort of the overseer and the strategic leader. The father-son relationship that sort of maybe Scott wish he had that father figure back in Charles, and sort of Charles also with the loss of his son maybe putting that onto sort of Scott. There's so many things like that is just ripe for like exploring in this new MCU and this new iteration of the X-Men that we might not have had the chance to sort of explore in the Singerverse. And the Singerverse had its great moments, but we're just primed for evolution, and we're primed for sort of new story takes. And I feel like Henry Cavill as Cyclops is the way to go. Sort of the next character being talked about, being thrown about by the Twitter sphere and the nerdosphere around the world. You know, I keep my ear to the streets. I keep my ear to the streets. But Hyperion, I think I'm saying that right. Hyperion. He's an external named Marcus Milton. He made his debut in Avengers 69, which debuted in October 1969. He was created by Roy Thomas and illustration from Sal Buscema. Okay? The thing about Hyperion, so he's this like larger-than-life Titan, very similar in powers to Superman. What suits Henry Cavill potentially playing him in this current state of Marvel is that his story really does suit the multiverse saga. And obviously, whether we like it or not, that is what we're going through right now, what we're sort of dealing with, and what we have to take in our Marvel intake is the multiverse saga. I feel like there is a way to make the multiverse more interesting than they're probably doing it. I mean, ask Lord and Miller and see what they're doing with the Spider-Verses, but that's neither here or there. But the reason I say that is because Hyperion was originally of Earth 13034. He was later annihilated by an incursion. And sort of the term incursion has already been brought up in the MCU by John Krasinski's Reed Richards. But in that Illuminati scene, he sort of brought up the idea of incursions in the MCU. So he later then sort of comes into our Earth after the incursion, and he forms the Squadron Squad, and becomes a mighty hero with the Avengers as well. So a lot of things that sort of Henry has already done. Sort of Superman, see what I mean? It's just another version of Superman. I feel like it's not intriguing. Like, don't get me wrong, he could probably kill it, but it's just not something that is just when you hear it and you get excited and you're like, yes, take my money. Like, that's what Marvel need right now. Marvel need a yes, take my money type of announcements right now. That's where they are, and like Hyperion is just not the way to go. Like, it's just not the way to go. Even Bob Iger sort of has discussed the plans moving forward is to focus more on existing IPs and reliable IPs, more ground level heroes. And I think, as much as I love the ability to sort of like discover different sectors of the universe we haven't already discovered, as much as I love the ability of like a James Gunn to take a Guardians of the Galaxy and make a huge success out of it, Marvel can't afford to do that right now. They really can't afford to do that. I would even say they can't afford to have cosmic stories right now. I really think they should focus on ground level X-Men, Fantastic Four stuff, and the Daredevil, Kingpin, and Spider-Man stuff. I feel like right now, that's your best bet. Those are your best bets. As sad as it might sound that we're not getting sort of the underdog stories and the stories of probably the characters that the general public might not have heard of, or even a lot of comic book fans might not have heard of. We're just not in that position right now. We're not in that economy. Maybe after Deadpool and Wolverine. Maybe after that. But just for right now, we're not there yet. We're not yet there. So that's why I don't see Hyperion being the character Henry Cavill plays. Next, we got Captain Britain. Come on. Yes, lad. Captain Britain. Rule Britannia. It rules the way. And obviously Henry Cavill is English. I'm not English, I'm Welsh. Putting that out there, just to put that out there. But yes, Captain Britain. And this is the character that even Henry is sort of put it out there that he'd potentially like to play. Captain Britain, also known as Dr. Brian Braddock, is the son of a lord and lady. He graduated from physics school, become a scientist. During his time at a lab in a science lab, a bunch of mercenaries showed up, and they injured him, and he started to bleed out. And basically, upon like escaping the science lab, he was given an offer by the one and only Merlin. And what Merlin did was offered him a proposal. I will save your life right now, but you become Britain's champion. You become Captain Britain. So it really is a nice sort of medieval shoes and sandals type story. And I feel like that there is space for that in the MCU. There really is. And I feel like, especially with Dame Whitman in the Eternals being Black Knight, there's the MCU has time and has space for a sort of Game of Thrones type adventure. No, obviously he is playing Jon Snow, Dane Whitman, but I still feel there's space for that. There really is space for that. Unfortunately, I just don't think the timing is right for a Captain Britain in this current MCU. I don't think the timing is right for a shoes and sandals, for a swords and sandals type story. I think, again, they're probably going to stick with the reliable IPs. They're probably going to stick on stuff that they can sort of rely on and know that people are going to go out and see it right now, because the box office just aren't doing great for stuff. So I just also, as much as I'd love to see it, I just don't think that will happen. I just don't think that will happen, or at least anytime soon. And I do think Henry Cavill will probably pop into the MCU within the next couple of years. So if it is Captain Britain, I would be very shocked.